Welcome to our podcast, Elevate Us into the Future, where AI's potential is unraveled by visionary minds. Join us as industry titans and visionary pioneers unlock the vaults of their minds, sharing honest advice, invaluable insights, and incredible success stories. This is not your average podcast. This is your go-to source for all the related updates on recruitment, AI technology, and the future of work. Elevate into the new era of technology. Elevate with us to the future. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Elevate Us to the Future podcast. Today, our topic is about the future of work and its impact on recruitment. We're going to talk about very exciting topics like the rise of the gig economy, remote work, ChatGPT, and the growing importance of AI technology. Today, we have a very special guest, Abe Seksek. Abe and I had the pleasure of working together in the past. Abe is a visionary founder and entrepreneur who co-founded some of the world's leading companies and startups. So without further ado, hello, Abe. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hi, Tema. Yes, and thank you for having me. I'm really honored. I miss working with you as well, so it's been a while. I know we haven't done that in a while. A bit about me. I really usually don't like this question, but I'm just going to answer it anyway. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've been with 4 exits right now. We've been in the technology field since the late 90s. I know that sounds like dinosaurish right now, but we've dabbled with a lot of different kinds of tech. And throughout my whole startup entrepreneurial journey, obviously had to work with a lot of great and not so great talents and developed some sort of a understanding or a baseline of how to create a company culture, because one of the commonalities of the successes that I've had was creating a great culture to work at.
Amazing. Abe, you are currently the CEO and partner of Rainmaking MENA. So I know that you've been involved in driving innovation and transformation within industries as well. How do you see the future of work evolving, and what impact do you think this will have on recruitment, given that you were talking about talent and the importance of recruiting cultural fit? So what would you say to that?
So, this question, I think the future of work has been tremendously accelerated, especially after what happened at COVID and the lockdowns. People had to start really reinventing ways on how to maintain and keep talent, plus attract new talent to come in. What also showed us with COVID is there's been certain ideas that were really fostered within good companies, but also those ideas were not 100% refined. I'll give you an example, like working from home. I know a lot of companies right now are in the process of moving back to the office of some sort because productivity did suffer. And I think in the beginning, the example of working from home, people were really taking were considering it as, because they had no access to the office, and there were, the productivity went up actually tremendously, because I think there was a basic human instinct of people wanted to survive and maintain, while now it became a norm, and then people got comfortable with work. And I'm not saying productivity was lost. I just said the dynamics changed. I think, people right now crave human connection. So people wanted to speak to people in the office. And it's, what I've personally can tell you that I've missed going back to the office, and I have been back in the office for years now. I know we've been done with the pandemic, but it's these little conversations that you're having that are kind of offline, or just saying, how is it going? Or, people usually will tell you more than they can write or type, or, as much as, we have tons of collaboration tools and tools like that we're going to be talking about, like, from the communication tools to productivity tools like ChatGPT and stuff.
Yeah.
It's still missing that little, water cooler talk
Water
where,
cooler breaks. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like when people were really connecting on a personal level, and work was not always about work. It was all about you creating a new circle of colleagues that can convert into friendship, or can convert into anything else. So that's where I see I see the future of work, more of a hybrid environment. People have to really make sure that uh, they work they juggle that properly. Keep in mind also people struggled with managing personal life, work life, especially at home, when you have, if you have kids, or if you have you know what I mean. So that kind of changed. So that is one of the highlights. There's more other things. Travel got affected. uh, I think also Zoom culture, or um, you know calling people online. People got fatigued with that. So
Zoom
there's
fatigue. Yeah.
yeah, there is quite a that, and I can tell you something personal. People got so used to Zoom that my calendar, people block 1 hours, and now we have offline meetings, and people assume that I'm going to be off,
You're free.
uh,
Yeah.
and then literally a minute later, I'm going to be magically appearing in someone's office halfway across the city, and I'm like, guys, no, I need to drive to that. So now I'm taking calls while I'm driving. It was just
On the
people, I
go.
think, just going through that adjustment.
So, Abe, are you guys currently hybrid at Rainmaking?
We're like most tech companies. We do hybrid for multiple reasons. We do have a team that's spread out across all of MENA, and actually Rainmaking globally. We're in over 14 cities globally, and in a region we are in 5. So that's one reason. Number two, we also have a lot of parents working in our company, so we want to give them, family time is very important for
Very nice.
building that great culture. So we do have like the choice, and um, give the option of a lot of these people to work from home. We'd like to say you need to be in the office at least 3 times a week, but again, we're really project based. So sometimes when we need to um, travel to see a client, or deliver something that is not in the office, so we're very flexible when it comes to that. So yeah.
Amazing. So, Abe, given that you're talking about culture and you're talking about Rainmaking Global, I know that Rainmaking places a strong emphasis on diversity and cultural fit. What strategies have you found to be the most effective in building diverse and culturally fit teams?
So diversity is something that is, I generally believe, innovation and great culture comes from diversity.
Yeah.
And because when you have, even people from different backgrounds, or studied different places, or are physically sitting in different geographical locations, they see their local challenges, and they see how people are fixing local challenges. And then once we have a problem to fix, when I get different perspectives from different people on different sides of, geographies, or even upbringing, or different schooling, different ideas come in to fix the same problem statement. And that what happens with that's where innovation really happens, because then they start to localize. People start to saying, okay, let's try this idea from Latin America,
Yeah.
but let's put like a Middle Eastern spin on it. And this is where new ideas work. Every place I've worked, like I was head of operations at dubizzle.com, and we had a huge team on the ground in almost every MENA country, and when we had problem statements, and people kept throwing, we had at least 5 typical solutions or attempted solutions to every problem. So we had options to try, and we were very adventurous to try that. and not only speaking innovation, but actually also applying what you're trying to do helps you build that great culture, because then you say you've tried, and even if you failed, you've tried and failed, and don't have to lose sleep about I could have fixed it if people listened to me. And which also led into one more thing about creating a great culture in general, is the acceptance of failure, and that's something that in MENA is super frowned upon. MENA and Asia in general, and Africa, people do not like to be labeled as a failure. But again, nobody's labeling anybody. It's just if you failed at something, you just get up and try it again. And that's something in tech, they say that anywhere where there's a big tech hub, whether it's Europe or US or China, you need to fail fast, because you need to make sure the ideas that you have are experienced by other people and are not only by you. So when you fail fast, you actually really move much faster, and you build that culture of, okay, it's okay, because usually tech startups are in this uncharted space. So they need to test theories, and they need to test businesses. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? So I see a lot of people who are new to the ecosystem really struggle with this, because they don't want to be known as the person that led this program and it failed. You know what I mean? Like they try to distance.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. We've laughed on a lot of things that we failed on.
True. And, Abe, I see a lot of people nowadays, they're relying on, AI-powered ATSs or recruitment softwares to hire top talent and recruit the workforce of tomorrow. And we see a lot of reliance on AI technology, because AI it filters a short list in an unbiased way. So it helps companies actually pave the way for diverse recruiting. And this really brings me to my next question, which is, how do you see the role of technology such as AI and ChatGPT evolving the future of work and recruitment?
So, as we said, like tooling will become a very big part of everybody's, I read something that was very interesting yesterday, and I'm going to butcher it right now, but I think it's in the line of this. I think AI is not there. It's not here to replace anybody right now. So at least when we're recording this in 2023, we are, what's it called? AI is really meant to be used as a productivity tool and not to replace. Like
100%.
there is no, I'm sure there will be an AI down the road that's going to be a wide jobbed, I don't know what the exact technical term is, that can do multiple tasks. But right now, most of the AIs are doing 1 to 2 tasks. And ChatGPT is, I know it's got a plug-in market right now and all that, but it's still really just task driven and not, an overall driven. And so when it comes to ATSs and I can tell you right now, when I worked at ZenHR, and I was very big on building Zen ATS at that time, and people's understanding of what a tool and what like the tool is there to help you. Like I saw a lot of recruitment managers struggle with opening a spreadsheet, a Word document, like a communication tool, which is Zoom or something, their email, plus, they create these levels of the ATS, and everyone had a different, because a functional manager says, no, I want to do 2 tests before speaking to a person. The tech managers, like, I want them to speak to the whole team as a group before, get shortlisted. Everybody does things differently. And I can remember when I was selling ATSs as well, recruitment processes in as an example, in the GCC, there was the visa process was a part of recruitment, because if they didn't qualify for a certain visa, then that means they were disqualified. So I remember there was one of our clients had 22 steps for an ATS. While I can tell you right now, our ATS in Rainmaking, some of them are 3 layers, screen, first interview, my interview, and it's done, right? So again, it depends on the position and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
so how's ATS doing that? When we're gonna get a bit technical. When you parse CVs and you start, I've been seeing this from a couple of tools. Is
Mm.
depending on who's their hiring manager, uh, it can show you what you like and what you don't. That's what the AI is coming in. Like I'll give you little tips, and please don't hold me out. I know I've hired hundreds, maybe thousands of people between my ventures, and
Yeah.
um, like I usually look at, when people look at education, I do look at education, but I look at really early education. Where
Mm.
did they go to school? High school. I mean, that's a big part in what I do. And then when you train the AI to start doing that, then it'll tell you like people that, studied a certain type of certificate or a certain path in high school. It kind of shows that they went through a foundation, and that could be anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like people in Saudi can go through a specific education certificate, while people in Jordan or people in the UAE could have gone through a different path. That's like one of the, so you can train the AI, you can train some of the to what to look for. Number two, they also like I would also look for certain companies. Like I would target people that worked for a certain amount of time in a certain amount of companies. Like I have a list of 50 companies I like everybody that's ever worked with them, and they're the big Fortune 500 companies, the
Yeah.
big consulting firms and stuff like that. But I also they can't the candidates that I like, can't just put it in there as an internship or somebody that have done like 2 months there. No, it has to be like a couple of years and work. So because then I would then conclude that they've been well established and they've been the foundation is really well. And
Amazing.
then certain keywords also, you always train the AI to look for certain keywords, uh, depending on the position you're looking for. You know what I mean? We hire a lot of people that worked in programs and accelerators. So they work, if there's a highlight there or stuff like that, or mentorship or stuff like that. So again, so tooling will only get better and better and quicker. I
Okay.
think the next phase of ATS, in my honest opinion, is the gatherer ATS, where it's going to go look out for candidates and say, these are the people you should like. I know tools do that right now, but I don't think that's been perfected because uh, the problem with AI is uh, AI doesn't take it only crunches big data.
Data. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If the data is filled in wrong, then you're gonna get crap results. And
Mm.
and and that's what we wanted to better understand, how to really make sure that data is delivered properly.
All right. And, Abe, I want to add to that, since we were talking about how ATS is evolving so much. And since years ago, ATSs, they were not really holistic. Today we have, for example, at Elevatus, we have a holistic ATS that streamlines the entire hiring cycle from creating job requisitions to onboarding new hires. And you were speaking about visas. Nowadays, you can even centralize your visa repository in one single place. You can view all the
Yep.
reserved, allocated visas. You can even tailor it based on the regulations that you have in your own country. So it's a holistic software where everyone or recruiters can get everything done from one single place. And it's so advanced, and you can even train the AI. So we have an AI powered ATS. You can even train the AI to filter through candidates based on the criteria that matters the most to you. Maybe it's the willingness to relocate, the nationality. And based on that, it will filter through candidates, rank them in order of qualification, give you an AI matching percentage. So AI is evolving at an unprecedented rate, and it's truly revolutionizing the recruitment landscape. So,
I, I agree, and I've looked into. I've used in my career over 7 or 8 ATIs, from the very corporate ones to the very cool startup ones. And I 200% agree. And there's so much more you can add to the life cycle of this. We used to say something in my last ATS. It was acquire to retire,
Yeah.
and so you can really, like the sourcing. And I'm not saying ATSs are not. They're doing a lot of sourcing right now. But just saying, knowing what type of uh, people you want in your company. I think HR tools in general, I haven't seen an HR tool globally yet that really effectively measures company culture,
Mhm.
because the company culture is always mapped into a feedback loop, right? So you have to get feedback from your employees uh, to really tell you how well people are really connected. Because you've had, especially at COVID, and you had this movement of quiet quitting, and you had all these
Mhm.
people that just came in, punched in their hours, or but those, I'm not talking about ATS, but I'm talking about HR tools in general. So, but even the hiring cycle, you take feedback at every level of the field, and I know people, there's usually, especially in MENA, I don't know, I'm sure you guys see that. When I post something, I can get anywhere between 600 and 2,000 CVs within the first week. And if you're going to take feedback from people, you know what I mean? You have to ask the proper questions, because if you say, "Were you satisfied?" Obviously, people that didn't get the job will say, "I'm not satisfied," right? So the feedback will be horrible. But you have to really properly ask. It's like prompting ChatGPT, right? So, was it transparent? You don't ask about the satisfaction, but you asked about the process itself. Was it transparent? Did you get an email? Were you communicating within the first whatever amount of hours? 24 or 48 hours,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So that will also enhance your experience and people wanting to work with that. Plus,
Yes.
creating content around, company culture, the leadership of the company, people, you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of times good talent will want, they're interviewing you as much as you're interviewing them, right? They want to
100%.
know who they're working with. They want to belong, right? So,
Of course.
and we've had this issue with different generations. You talk up millennials. Millennials want to really work somewhere they can really belong.
Yeah.
Gen Xers. I'm a Gen X. They're hardworking. They do a bit of offline, online. The Gen Zs. They are all about fast pace. How do you keeping them engaged is another issue.
Mhm.
So that all has to be addressed within also the hiring cycle. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I see a lot of technical recruiters struggling with hiring fresh new talent, because
Mhm.
they've learned the different type of, like when you hire a CTO, it's not like when you hire a fresh grad front end engineer.
100%. Yeah.
So they need to have that conversation different. So the evolution of, it's only gonna get better, but we
Yeah.
need more data, we need more input. That's why feedback is so important in every
Important.
part of the hiring system.
So, Abe,
Hiring.
before we wrap up this podcast, I want to ask you one last question, which is what advice would you give to companies that are looking to get ready for the future of work? And how do we get ready for all of this?
So honestly, it depends on, like, obviously the acceptance from, let's not beat around the bush. The leadership team, no matter if it's a small company head by a GM or the owner, or to a corporation, they need to sit down and iron out, the strategy. And one of them is definitely going back to HR and finding out what's working and what's not. So process is definitely one. Number two, tooling is, we've been talking about finding the right tools. I know companies right now with 5 employees that have an ATS. It's not only, the spreadsheet days are no longer there. They're not as efficient anymore.
Blast from the
And
past.
exactly. And then number three is, I think, communication. Where do I look like, where do I find candidates? How do I reach out to them? What is the tone and the language that I want to reflect to those people? I need to make sure that people, I want to attract the right caliber to the right people. Like, I'll give you an example, a quick example of that. I've been seeing, we've been working with a lot of financial institutions, and a lot of them are struggling to evolve, not because of anything. It's just because the world has really, really changed in the last 3 years, like 3 to 5 years, like tremendously. With more financial technology companies, the fintechs coming in, they're really disrupting your classical banking financial job with a suit. Meanwhile, people are coming in now, different culture. I've started my career once with a small part-time job working in a bank. I remember I didn't even have access to internet in the bank. While now, things are completely different. ChatGPT can write you anything and get you anything you want, especially if you have money. Exactly. So that whole mind shift, you have to get ready for change. And I think change is the biggest driver when it comes to process, when it comes to tooling, and when it comes to this communication aspect. And this is something that we'd like to foster and to make sure that people that really will adapt that will thrive and will go through the next evolution of work.
Wow. Well said. And Abe, I can't thank you enough. Like, it's been really a pleasure to speak with you today. And, your insights have been invaluable. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time.
Well, it was a pleasure, Tema. It was always good to see you. And thank you very much for having me on this podcast.
The pleasure is ours. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And here's to elevating the future, one podcast episode at a time. See you, Abe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.